Hello everyone, Meowington here, and we are back yet again with our OOTP 17 playthrough of the Reds, and as you can see at the top, we are over 500. So after that early season collapse, and it was pretty bad, we are now 46 and 43. And if I go over to the info section, you'll see that we went 15 and 12 in June, which is, really solid. It's three over 500, and in July we're currently 11 and 4. So I haven't finished playing out July yet. I actually left it just at the All-Star break, and I'm going to be simming like the rest of that later. So it's going to be like super crazy. Tons of stuff's going to happen. It's going to be 3 months basically. But as you can see, we're 11 and 4 so far in July, which is absolutely awesome. But before I go over that, I just want to show real quick our team rankings. I have it up in another video that I recorded over on my other screen, and our runs scored is the same. Our batting average has gone down. We're actually ninth instead of seventh. Our on base percentage has gone down. We're seventh instead of fifth. Home runs, still the same. Stolen bases, we are now in sole possession of first place in stolen bases. And our runs against have gone up. We're in 10th over 12th place. Our starter ERA is 8th over 11th place. Our bullpen ERA is the same, and our defensive effectiveness has gone up. We were in 6th, and now we're in 3rd. So it seems our defense, starter ERA, and runs against has picked itself up. Bullpen stayed relatively the same, and in batting is where we faltered a little bit, but it wasn't by too much. So overall, our team is doing, pretty solid right now. So going into our lineup real quick, let me just go to June. Where's June? There it is. So, sorry about that. Two really quick things is Jagailo and Bryson Smith were recalled down to AAA, and I called up Pacheco and Holt. They're not really doing so hot, but I decided to just call down Bryson Smith and Jagailo because I wanted them to just get a little bit more time in AAA. They weren't really doing too great in the majors, and I didn't want this to be their rookie season. Just let them get some playing time, send them back down, and see if I can call them back up next year. So aside of that, here you can check out the averages, and Tucker Barnhart had a pretty solid June. I guess I'll sort it by average and then look at all the stats. So you have Tucker Barnhart over here, 289, 322, 349. So he didn't really slug for much, which I don't think he does. Yeah, he's not a very big slugger, but pretty solid on base percentage and average for us. Didn't hit any home runs, but did pretty alright. Waldrop had I would say definitely a good June. His on base percentage did struggle a little bit. He's batting 276, 300, 483. So, that 300 on base percentage, he doesn't really draw too many walks. But on the bright side, he did knock out 5 dingers. So, pretty solid slugging from him. Also, 3 doubles. And then Aoki, who he was originally supposed to be the backup, but I mean, he's just been playing well enough to be our starter. So, as you can see, here you go. He's our starting left fielder. And he batted 261, 301, 375. Cozart 260, 310, 390. That's really strange to see Cozart at 310 on base percentage. He seems to like to be in the 280s ish. Votto 256, 439, 442. So basically a very typical Votto on base percentage with this huge amount of walks. Carithers and Winker, they didn't really do too amazing. Winker did all right, but Carithers not as hot. You have Eugenio Suarez, who batted, kind of lacking a bit, but nothing too bad. He did get 5 home runs. It's pretty nice. Hamilton, very poor, and then Renda, very poor as well. He did not have a good June. But July is a little bit of a different story. So if I go over to July, you'll see that, actually, how many games have we played? So here really quickly, let's go over to July. Oh, you can see like half of it. So 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, 12, 14, 15 games. So out of the 15 games in July so far, Nori Aoki is batting 365, 404, 500. So he's doing immaculately. But right behind him is Renda, who's batting 358, 443, 528. So very good July there too. And honestly, I think the best of all would be Eugenio Suarez, who's batting 354, 500, 563. So he's got the highest slugging, the highest on base percentage. He's only behind in average by .011 points. So Eugenio Suarez is definitely having the hottest July. Behind that is Barnhart. You can see His line isn't too amazing. He's not really slugging for much, and his on-base percentage is pretty low. But on the bright side, he at least has a pretty solid average, which isn't terrible since I'm batting him fifth here against righties, as you can see. So if people are on base, he's at least making some contact, even if it's flyouts. Ramon Cabrera, our backup catcher, he's batting 250, 294, 313. So not really that amazing, but he's doing a little bit better than Barnhart is in July. Billy Hamilton picked himself up quite a bit. You can see he brought up his on-base percentage slightly and his average as well, even though it's not a very good average. Zach Cozart kind of struggling, Waldrop struggling, and Votto, he's not batting for average, but he's at least slugging and getting on base. So it's okay that he's batting 200, although I definitely would like to see that pick up. Besides that, all our backups and all those guys aren't really doing so hot. So really quickly, let's go to regular season. Here you can see how everyone is doing over the regular season. So here I'll just split it up by each one. In terms of average, Suarez is at 311. Aoki's up to 297 now, so he's doing very well average-wise. 292 Barnhart, Renda 272, Cozart 262, Votto 253, Waldrop 250, and Hamilton 242. So overall, our average isn't really that bad. Hamilton batting 242, I'm pretty sure is slightly higher than normal. Yeah, it's right about where he bats, maybe a little bit higher. In terms of on-base percentage, hilariously enough, Eugenio Suarez actually has a higher on-base percentage than Joey Votto does. He's over 400, which is pretty ridiculous. And it's mainly picked up by the fact that he has such a high average. He's also slugging for 534. I definitely didn't expect Eugenio Suarez to be this good when I started this playthrough, but he's just been a monster. So, even though I said I wanted Jagielo to be our third baseman of the future, it's looking like Eugenio Suarez is making an argument for himself to just completely ignore Jagielo at this rate. You got Winker over here, who even though he has a poor average, actually gets on base a pretty decent amount, which is the only reason I have him on every 7 days over Waldrop to give him a rest. And then Barnhart 345, Aoki 332. Who is that? Renda 330, 309 Cozart. So kind of getting the struggle a little bit here. Hamilton 305, and then Waldrop at 297. So I don't like to see it this low. But I guess for Cozart and Hamilton, this is considered like an above average on base percentage, I'm pretty sure. Wow, he had a 302. Yeah, so it's sort of above average for him. And then Waldrop, below average for him. He had a pretty good on base percentage last year. So on to slugging. So we already saw Suarez is leading us, and then you got Waldrop, Votto, Aoki, Cozart, Renda, Winker, Barnhart, Cabrera, and then all the way down here is Billy Hamilton, which is pretty expected. But I bet you guys didn't expect this one. To see this Aoki slash line over the year, sure he's played 70 games over the, like, how many have we played? Like 100-ish? Or wait, no, that's like 90. Yeah, that's 90-ish. So he's only not played in a couple games. Like, he hasn't started in 30, but he's played in at least 9 more than he started, so he's been in a total of 70 games. But 297, 332, 415. That's not bad. Aoki's actually doing pretty solidly, a lot better than I was expecting. He was supposed to be a backup, and he's basically being our starter, and he's contracted for another year. So I'm hoping he can keep it up again next year, because I think we're going to be struggling at left field again. And looking over at our pitchers, I won't do the June and July for them. I just wanted to show the batters. I'll just show the overall for pitchers. So let's sort it really quick by ERA. Nelson Claudio, our ace, like always, he actually just barely went over 1 ERA finally. He was at 176, and then he kind of got blown up here in 4 innings. He got 4 earned runs, so he went up over 2. But the next start, he went 8 innings with only 1 earned run, so he went back down under 2 ERA. And sadly, he had another bad game. Not terrible, but 3 earned runs in 6 innings, which brought his ERA right back up to 2. So hopefully with 1 or 2 more games, he'll be under 2 ERA again. But he's definitely carrying our pitching staff in terms of everything, basically. So you can see some of the ERAs here. Nebel 256. He's doing really well. I think I picked him up from a trade. Yeah, trade with Toronto. Pretty young guy, 25, doing solidly. I'm happy with what he's doing. Ramey or Rame, whatever, 367, 392, Ricky Davis, Chapman at 392, he finally went under 4, and then everyone here is over 4, 410, 441, you can see getting really high up here, that 4.5 to John Lamb, who actually I did recall, by the way. I forgot who was here in 5th, but I think it might have been Reed, but I recalled Lamb, and his ERA dropped from let's see, 761 to 606. So even though this seems really high, he's actually dropped the whole 1.6 points in ERA, almost 2. Hoping that he continues, 7 innings, 1-5-1, even 7-3. Yeah, I'll let it slide. So hoping he can keep that up. You can see the averages against people. Ramey's actually doing really well in that regard. 173 and then 180 for Chapman, and the 198 from Claudio. It's just disgusting. Like our closest besides that is Desclafani at 260. So a little bit struggling in that regard. In terms of whip, there you go, Claudio 98. Some of our relievers doing pretty okay. I guess 1.28 is fine. This is fine. 1.3, that's fine, I guess. Here's where it starts to get a little questionable, where Cotham's at 1.33, and then you got 1.4, 1.5. That's just really, really bad. It's just all the hits they're giving up. As you can see, Finnegan 110, 123, even though he's walked 35, which I don't think is terrible. It's definitely the hits that are hitting him. Home runs per 9. True, we are in Cincinnati, so they're going to be a little inflated, but as you can see here, some of these guys have pretty okay numbers, it's pretty alright. Then you got guys up here, you got Cotham at 2.1, 2.0, 1.9, 1.8. It's just a lot of home runs. I mean, if you look at this, 10 home runs in 48 innings, 8 and 35, 8 and 34. It's just really crazy numbers. Most impressive here is definitely Nebel at 45, and he's only given up 3, which is pretty good. And then Nelson Claudio, just of course, he's just beasting it. Jake McGee with the fewest walks per 9. And it seems Rookie Davis, Storin, Nebel, Desclafani, Claudio, they're doing pretty okay with walks. Cotham, Tazawa, Finnegan is where it gets a little bit sketchier. And then Lamb, Chapman, and Rame is where it gets really bad. So I think, honestly, Ramey, I don't know. I'm just going to call him Ramey. I'm going to call him both, just so I can be right sometimes. It might even be completely different. Who knows? But this is his biggest issue. If he didn't walk so many people, 23 walks over 41 innings, he would actually be a fairly good pitcher. Not even fairly good, but great. Because a 3.67 ERA, that's perfectly fine. That's probably bloated from the fact that he walks so many people, so he always has to work with people on base. He's got a 9.3 K9, which is pretty solid, not bad. 1.3 home runs per 9 is but we're playing again in Cincinnati. He's got a good whip, so it shows that he doesn't really allow that many hits, 26 over 41. So it's really those walks that are just killing him. If you could just fix that. His control is pretty solid, but I guess his control is solid enough that it's kind of weird. So don't really know what's going on there, but whatever. K9, of course, Chapman, he's always high in walks. It's expected, but he's got really high K9. Cotham, Nebel, and Claudio are all the guys that are 10 plus doing really well. Almost everyone is a pretty good K9. I like it to be 7 plus. I think anything above that's pretty good. So Davis is the only one struggling a bit at 6.7. And here are the FIPs. Nebel at a 243 FIP, which is awesome. Claudio is at 3.08. You got a couple guys in the 3s, and then you hit 4 over here, and just 4s, high 4s, getting close to 5, mid 5, and 6 for Lamb. So some pretty rough stuff here. In terms of WAR, Nelson Claudio is absolutely killing it. He's got a 3.4 WAR, so he's doing very well. Definitely, he's one of the top pitchers right now in the league. And Desclafani at a 1.6, 1.2. So the positive WAR ends at Storin, who's at a 0.1, and besides that, everyone else is actually in the negatives. Davis is -1, Cotham -1, -2 Finnegan, -3 Rame, -3 Lamb, and -4 Tazawa, which is pretty crazy. Didn't really expect this to happen. I didn't expect Tazawa to be in the negatives. Cotham, I think, did decently enough. Yeah, he did decently enough last year that I didn't expect him to be in the negative either. Rookie Davis, I definitely wasn't expecting him to do as poorly as he's been doing so far. The only ones I expected it from were maybe John Lamb. I didn't really know much about this guy, so I was, I expected him to maybe do poorly. Finnegan, I didn't expect this from. It's pretty weird. I was hoping these guys would do a little bit better, and I only have like 1 or 2 that were near 0 WAR or even in the negatives. So that was a bit disappointing. And in terms of lineups, I guess I can do the WARs here. You can see Eugenio Suarez at 3.6, Votto 1.9, 1.7 Barnhart, 1.3 Hamilton, 0.9 Renda, 0.7 Aoki, 0.7 Cozart, and then 0.5 Waldrop. So all of our starters are in the positives in terms of WAR. And if Waldrop keeps up this pace, he'll end up at probably around 1-ish, which is, what like a starter, I think is what it is. Like one war is equal to at least a normal starter. So that'd be nice if I can get all of my guys at least one war plus, which means they're all worth their starting position. And you got Winker over here at point 0.1, so at least he's not completely worthless as a backup. But yeah, Carruthers and Holt are basically completely useless, which is why I've had them on such, every 10th or every 15 game. The reason I'm doing that is to give my guys rest so that they don't get hurt. So you kind of got to make that sacrifice where you just got to play your really poor players sometimes and hope the other guys pick it up just to give them some rest because I don't want them burning out and getting injured. And we've been very, very lucky actually with injuries this year. I'm fairly sure. I don't remember anything really major, so I'm hoping I can keep that up. I might totally have jinxed myself, but hopefully I keep it up. So yeah, that's how it's gone so far. I guess I can show you guys a couple more things before I cut it off here. So here is our June. We went 1-2 against the Mets. 2-2 split against the Giants. We beat LA, which is great. Against the Mets, we got a little bit of revenge. We won 2-1. Against Miami, we lost 2-1. Against Philly, we got swept. Against Pittsburgh, we swept them. They're actually right above us by half a game. Milwaukee, we went 2-1. Washington, we went 4 wins in a row. We swept them, and then with the Cubs, we got our 5th win in a row before we lost 2 more to them. We split with Atlanta 2-2. We then swept the Cubs and then swept the Pirates for 6-game winning streak so far, and that means we bumped ourselves up in the division. We actually helped ourselves out with this. We brought Pittsburgh down and we brought ourselves back up. So Chicago's actually last right now in the division. I should go to the standings. There we go. So the Brewers are actually dead last in the division. I didn't even realize that they were supposed to be there. Yeah, that makes sense. There's 5 people. Derp. So they are 33 and 55. They're just completely out of the race. The Cubs are 41 and 47. So they're not completely out of the race, but they're struggling a bit. We are 46 and 43, finally over 500, which is awesome. Pittsburgh Pirates are 45 and 42, and then the Cards are leading at 50 and 38. So as you can see here, the Pirates are 4 games back, and we are 4.5. So we're actually half a game behind the Pirates, and only 4.5 behind Cardinals. So we're totally still in this race, and it's totally a possibility for us to even end up first place in the division. And at worst, I think we can take over the Pirates. I mean, we're pretty close to at least making it through the wild card. The Rockies aren't that ahead of us either, so we can get either first or second in the wild card. There's a lot we can do. I mean, if we explode again like at the beginning of the season, then that'd be a shame, and so be it. But we're in a pretty good spot right now to at least make a showing and make it into the playoffs, or get a chance to work into the playoffs. So with this next sim, what I'm actually going to be doing is it's going to be huge. It's going to be the rest of the All-Star break. It's going to be all of July, August, and September. And since I don't want to like leave it with just a couple games in October, I'm just fitting in October. The reason is because I didn't want this to be all of August and then like 10 games in July because it would be really short. So I decided, okay, let me just throw in September. And by that rate, I was like, okay, you know what? I'm just gonna put in October too. So it's gonna be a really huge, just gigantic sim. Basically, it'll be the end of the season by the time I keep you guys caught up. So thank you for watching. Hope you enjoyed, and wish me good luck in getting to the playoffs. See you next time, guys.